Howard Lay Impact Sport earmuffs. These are electronic earmuffs, and I am doing this video review because I actually think that highly of them. I have to start by saying, as an audio engineer, I really have to protect my hearing. So I was a little leery about anything that turns on and then turns off at a split second in order to give you actual hearing protection. But I have to say, these things are lightning quick. I shoot relatively large guns, so I have a kind of a variety of noisemakers that I use. One of which is, just to give you a point of example, is this guy right here, which is a Savage BA-110, shoots 300 Win Mag. Plenty of noise comes out of that thing, so my hearing protection really important to me because it's how I make my living. One of the main things that I was concerned about in having a set of headphones like this is, what kind of situational awareness do you have? And I didn't find any reviews that mentioned anything about whether or not these things do stereo or mono. I mean, what if there's a guy that's yelling at you from across the range? You know, if some guy's not doing what he's supposed to be doing and laying a gun sideways across the table that might be loaded, which direction is it coming from? The left or the right? Well, if you buy some of these, you get mono, so you don't know whether or not danger is coming from the left or the right. My deciding factor in this went by just the picture, because even Howard Lay didn't mention that these things were in stereo or not. These indeed are. These are stereo. These give you a good projection of sound. There's a microphone built in right here. There's another microphone built in right here on this side. This is your volume right here, and it's real easy. You hear that click? When you click this thing, you know it's on, and you're getting directional sound from both sides. And one of the things that I've done, I've put these things on with these headphones facing forward, and I've also put it on with these microphones facing backwards. If I'm at the range, I may put these on with my microphones facing back in this direction if I'm facing out this way, and that sort of allows me to hear the guys that are standing behind me, the range officers that might be giving us commands. I've heard people say that they didn't really like the sound quality on this. Now, being a guy who does sound for a living, both live and recording it in the studio, I do have to say they're not designed to give you full range bass response, and for good reason. If this thing had to try and reproduce lower bass frequencies, it would use up the batteries a lot quicker. And the batteries, by which, are very easy to get to. I'm going to do this with one hand, and I've heard a lot of reviews and people say that they can't get to the batteries and it's a big pain in the butt and they have to get maybe to the inside of the headphones or something like that. Not so with these. I just was able to push them up with my thumb. Let me get to the other side here. Pops this casing off, which is slightly rubberized, and there's your two batteries right there. Real easy to get to. You can buy them anywhere, just AAA batteries. I've used these batteries, the same ones that I put in here since I bought these things brand new. Took these things out to the range, and I think I've taken them out to the range 5 or 6 times, and I still haven't replaced them yet. They haven't gone dead, and the reason for that is that lack of bass. If these things don't have to try and reproduce bass frequencies and they stay nice and thin, then they're not going to use up those batteries, because bass takes more power to reproduce than higher frequencies. So they're going to give you a response at about 2,000 hertz. Bass is all the way down the range at about 120 hertz, down to 80 and 60. That's where you hear like kick drums and bass players playing. Human hearing is up here in about 2,000, and then when you get up into about 8,000 and 10,000, then you get up into like hi-hats and overhead cymbals and things like that. But these are things that you really don't need with this. What you need is to hear humans, and you need to hear high things like branches breaking behind you if you're out hunting or something like that, or something falling if you're in an industrial situation. They fold up very nicely, by the way. This makes them nice and compact and easy to pack. Like I said, the batteries on this thing are great. It's got a little 1/8" jack down here in the bottom, so if I want to hook up my iPod to it and play some music, not really recommended for while you're out on the range or in dangerous situations, but they do actually play music quite well. And while they're playing music, they give you the continued ambient sounds of the outside surrounding area in stereo, and they compress immediately as soon as there's gunfire or a loud noise or anything like that. These were about, I think I bought them from Amazon. I think they were $49 or something, somewhere around that range. Every penny worth it. If these were $75, they'd be worth it. Here's the problem, and here's where these guys succeeded. You're trying to look down the barrel of a rifle. You're trying to look down the scope. So here's an empty stock here, just to give you an example. If we're looking backwards, and you're trying to get your cheek nestled in that position so that you can look up there, what's your main problem? These things are keeping you from being able to get your cheek in there, and as you try to put your cheek in there, you end up pushing the headphones out of the way. The thing I like about these Howard Leys is they thought about this. They actually made these things slim enough to where you can pretty much, I mean, granted you're still wearing headphones, but you can pretty much still get your cheek right in that spot, and you can still see, and you can find the parallax. That's something that was not lost on me. The fact that these things are slimline is not a mistake at all. It's not because they wanted to be cheap. It's not because they thought they would look cool. It's because you've got to find the parallax, and you've got to squish your face up against the side of that stock in order to do it. That ain't going to work. They protect my hearing. I'm a sound engineer. I'm a sports shooter. I love going out to the range whenever I can. I don't want to lose my hearing because it's what I do for a living. I couldn't recommend these things better. That's why I spent the time and made a video. They're great. Buy them.